2-part series that I'm doing on bouncing back from tough times. Because I think most of us at different points in our life go through problems. We all have obstacles that we face. And a lot of times those obstacles, like any life crisis we go through, it has a way of driving us to our breaking point, where we feel we simply can't go on. Right? I was sharing about some of the cold weather training that I just did on my last deployment, and I came to the end of myself when we were out hiking kilometers and kilometers out in the snow, up mountains, down mountains, and it got to the point where every step was literally a prayer. God, give me the strength for one more step. God, give me the strength for one more step. Because I didn't feel like I could do any more. Right? I'm an old dude, right? I'm 44, hiking in the middle of the Arctic, pulling this sled. And I thought, Jesus, have mercy. Why have I made these choices in my life? Right? You get to the place where you start questioning your life choices. Like, what am I doing with my life? How did I end up here? And God got me through it. But it really got to a point where I felt like the end of myself. And when we finally made it, got back into the barracks the next week, I called home and my wife said, so when you really had to dig in deep, who did you find? I said, I found Jesus. And she's like, no, dummy, in yourself, who did you find? I'm like, no, I know what you mean. But I found Jesus because I found that there was nothing left of myself. I got to the end of myself where I had nothing left. And if it wasn't for my ability to lean on God, I don't know if I would have broken. So the question is, how do we avoid getting to the point where we break? I mean, we can't avoid crises for our entire life. That's just not possible. In your life, you're going to go through different crises. You are going to struggle. So the issue is not how do we avoid obstacles. The real question is, how do we learn to bounce rather than break? Right? So, for example, you guys ever seen one of these before? Right? Can I have my volunteer come up? She volunteered to help me. She saw me get these from the store. She's like, what are those for? I said, I'm going to use them in church. Come over here, kiddo. You guys know what these are? These little super balls? Yeah. Have you ever played with them?
Yes.
My kids love them. Here, take that. Now what happens if she slams it down as hard as she can?
Probably hit the ceiling.
It might hit the ceiling. All right, go ahead. Oh, here, try another one. Do it. That's nice, but do it so it bounces out to the Marines. You still can't do it. Try another one. There you go. Right? You slam that down as hard as you can. Doesn't matter, right? You slam that sucker down, and it's not going to break. It is always going to bounce back, right? But what if I gave her this? Right? It would, but I tricked you all. Ha ha. Yeah. Thanks, baby. Right? It's fragile. We emptied this out last night, right? She was in on the gag, so I would not do that to her. Your faces were like, what did he just do to his daughter? Oh my goodness.
How do you empty it out?
How do you empty it out? I'll teach you after church. All right? But yeah, it's fragile. At the smallest thing, it'll crack. Now, thank goodness there was nothing in there, because otherwise it would have made a huge mess all over you. And that's life, right? When we get to a situation where we are fragile instead of resilient, where God wants us to be able to bounce back, we crack. The smallest thing happens and we crack. So my goal is to help you guys learn not to crack, but to bounce back. Right? And so this is the perspective that we need to have when we think about the crises in life, when we think about the difficulties. You guys can keep the Super Bowls and play with them, right? That's my gift to you today. Right? So don't feel bad. If I see you playing with it, that's fine. I give it to you on purpose, right? As a visual reminder, God wants me to be able to bounce back. Right? So the first step in being people who bounce instead of break is to stop seeing obstacles as unbeatable problems, right? Stop seeing obstacles as unbeatable problems. Your mindset really is going to set the stage. Can you imagine a boxer who steps into the boxing ring thinking he's going to lose? Or any MMA fighter who gets into the octagon? Anybody like watching MMA? For some reason, I didn't see the fight last night.
You didn't miss out.
Okay.
It was disappointing.
I love watching fights. I do. They don't allow chaplains to do McMap anymore because it is a form of combat. And as a non-combatant, I'm not supposed to participate. So I did earn my gray belt before they canned it. So I still wear my gray belt because I earned it. I just can't advance anymore. But I enjoy watching fights. And the other day I saw a clip. The first guy who KO'd Conor McGregor. I know it was an amazing fight. The whole thing, fight time, is like 8 or 9 minutes, and he got Conor down on the ground. Got some really good shots in there. Right? I love watching that kind of competition. But each fighter gets into the octagon thinking that he or she can win. Nobody goes in expecting to lose. If you step foot into the octagon thinking, oh, I'm going to lose, fight's already over. You've already lost. You are not going to win if you go in thinking, I can't do this. I'm going to lose. Your mindset sets the stage for you to be able to survive and thrive. I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, right? And one of the stories that parents read to kids is called The Little Engine That Could. You guys ever heard of The Little Engine Who Could? It's a kid story that's been around for decades, right? And it's about this little engine, a train engine, who was given a task. He had to get this load of toys to the children over in the next valley. And so he's going along, and there's this huge mountain that the track goes up. And this little train, this little engine that could, is on a mission. He knows he's got to get the toys to the next valley. So he's going, and the mountain gets steeper and steeper and steeper. But instead of thinking to himself, I just can't do this, this little engine starts telling himself over and over again, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Right? And it's a children's book, right? So it mimics the sound of the railroad engine. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it's supposed to teach kids the power of that positive mindset. And as he gets near the top, he just keeps telling himself, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And he finally crests the top of the mountain. He starts coming down the other side, and he can see the village where all the kids are waiting for his delivery of toys. And he tells himself, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could. Right? He doesn't let the mountain stop him in his journey. He tells himself, I think I can, to the point where he eventually does. I know, it's a kid's story. I got it. Fair enough. Okay. How about an adult example from the Bible, okay? So in the Bible, in the Old Testament, when God had Israel leave Egypt, because they were slaves in Egypt for hundreds of years, Moses goes in, he brings them out, and now they're wandering through the desert, trying to find a place to settle down. And God takes them to this place where they are supposed to go and settle down, but the problem is that there are enemy forces living there. And so Moses sends in some spies to check out the land, do some recon, right? And this is right up our alley because we all have to do this kind of stuff. This is our job. So we understand reconnaissance and scoping things out, lane clearing. That's what these guys are doing, right? Engineers have been in the Bible for thousands of years, right? So good on you guys. So in the book of Numbers, Moses sends out these spies, right? He sends out 12 spies to go check out the land. And they come back to report on the land, And 2 spies, 2 of them out of 12, say, we can do this. With God on our side, we can do this. Right? They're the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Everybody else came back with this negative report. So, Numbers chapter 13 says this. So they reported to Moses, we went into the land where you sent us. Indeed, it is flowing with milk and honey, and here is some of its fruit. However, the people living in the land are strong, and the cities are large and fortified. We can't go up against the people because they are stronger than we are. So they gave a negative report to the Israelites about the land they had scouted. The land we passed through to explore is one that devours its inhabitants. And all the people we saw in it are men of great size. We even saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. To ourselves we seemed like grasshoppers, and we must have seemed the same to them. Out of the 12 men who went, 10 of them came back with this negative report. We can't do this. Now God has literally told them, hey, I'm sending you here. This is where I want you to settle down and start a new community that follows the one true God. I got you. I'm on your side. And still they come back with this negative report. We can't do it. The people there are so big. They're so strong. We are so insignificant. We are so weak. I don't think we can do this. They thought that the obstacle was unbeatable. They were the fighter who gets into the octagon thinking, I can't even do it. They hadn't even gone up to fight the people yet. Just looking at it, they had this idea, we can't do it. We have to understand, believing something to be unbeatable defeats you before you even get started. That's huge. And I'll say it again. Believing something to be unbeatable defeats you before you even get started. Look at any challenge in your life. If you are looking at that challenge and you say, I don't think I can do this, you'll never do it. You put yourself into a place of failure. The person who says, it's going to be hard, but I got this. That's the person who's going to succeed. When we face crises in our life, we have to start with this understanding that nothing is insurmountable. Just because there's an obstacle in your way doesn't mean you stop moving. When there's a mountain in your path, you figure out a way to get past it. You go around it, you climb over it, you dig under it. If you have to, you build a freaking airplane and you fly over it. The point is this, no matter what, you exhaust every option to overcome the problem. You never stop moving. Just because there's an obstacle in your path does not mean that God is redirecting your path. It could mean that that obstacle is there to prepare you for the next phase of your life. The Bible talks a whole bunch about overcoming trials and hard times. Just a couple of examples. In Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 19, it says, they will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. In the Gospel of John, chapter 16, Jesus says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. Now, when Jesus gives you a promise, it's a pretty good guarantee that it's going to happen. Jesus doesn't say life is going to be easy. It's going to be smooth sailing. Hey, you went through a couple of hard things, but from here on out, it's good. Nope. Jesus says, I have told you these things so that you can have peace. You're going to have trouble in life. Now, that's a weird balance. Jesus says, hey, I promise you this. You're going to have problems. But I'm telling you this so that you can have peace. Which means Jesus is trying to tell us, even in the middle of the difficulties of life, we can have peace from God. Going through hard times doesn't have to put us into chaos. We can struggle, we can wrestle with hard times, and still Jesus says, in me you may have peace. Now, I don't ever claim someone else's promises for myself, right? So when the prophet Jeremiah is saying, they will fight against you, but I will rescue you, right? That was a specific promise for his people then. So I'm not trying to say we can take every promise and apply it to us. But there is a general principle in the Bible that says this: God is with us and present and is faithful to help us persevere and overcome all of the problems in life. Jesus says, you will have trouble. Life is not going to be a piece of cake. But in spite of this, God says, I am with you. Together, we got this. There is nothing that is going to be so hard that with God's help is going to stop you. You got this. So then the question then becomes, how do we work on being people who bounce back instead of break? So we can be the Super Bowl instead of the egg, right? So I got 4 practical tips for how God wants us to be people who bounce back. Number 1, hope. We hope for a better tomorrow. Right? And the Bible is full of this idea of godly hope. It is hope that allows us to bounce instead of break. We don't fixate on the problems of today, but we maintain a future focus, knowing that God is moving us to something better. It might hurt today. We might be going through the difficult times today, but we know that God is using all of this to prepare us for a better tomorrow. And the people who never go through hard times are not worth as much down the road. It's the person who has gone through hard times, who has endured, who has survived, that becomes stronger, wiser, a better leader because of what we have gone through. It's like any time in the gym, right? And congratulations on your new PR this week, right? But if you didn't spend any time in the gym putting your muscles through distress, you would never get stronger and grow. We understand that in the gym. We understand that for PT. If I want to get stronger, if I want to get faster, I have to put my body in distress. And then as I recover, as I am resilient from that hard PT, I get stronger, faster, better. It's the same spiritually and emotionally. These hard times aren't going to stop us. These hard times aren't going to break us. These hard times actually build us into better people. God is using the hard times in your life to prepare you for what comes next. And it's hope that keeps moving us forward. Number 1 is hope. Number 2, memorialize your problems and your victories. It's not just about enduring the hard times, it's about remembering. We set memorials in our lives saying, I know that God has done this in the past, and that ties into the hope for tomorrow. That's what all of the memorials in the Old Testament were about. It was looking back to see what God had done in life, to remember. Oh, do you remember that time when God did this for us? Because we remember that he did it for us back then, it gives us hope that God is going to continue to act for us tomorrow, next year, in 10 years. We don't just have hope because it's, just random pie in the sky faith. We wish good things. Hope is built on God's activity from the past. And so we remember, we memorialize. That's one reason I like to ask, what's something that God has done that's made you smile this week? When we remember what God has done, it helps us hold on to hope, knowing God's going to do it again. God has acted before, he will act again. And holding on to this, the memorializing, the hope, will help us live through each crisis today, holding out for the better tomorrow. Number 3, take it in bite-sized chunks. My daughter and I love stupid dad jokes. In fact, she had a shirt one time that says, "This girl digs dad jokes." Is that what it was? No. This girl loves dad jokes. So the stupider joke, the more she laughs at my dumb jokes. right? And one of the oldest dad jokes of all time is, how do you eat an elephant? You know this one? You know. Wow. How do you eat an elephant?
Trunk by trunk?
One bite at a time. Hey, I didn't say it was a good joke. It's a dumb joke. Right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Can't eat the whole thing at once. Piece by piece. It's just a dumb. Don't overanalyze it. It's just a dumb joke, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Yes, it's a lame joke. Got it. But it helps us understand that overcoming any problem, if you step back, the problem can seem huge. But if you take it one bite at a time, keep working at it, eventually you're going to get through it. It may take a while. You may find yourself working on a problem for a long time before you finally overcome it. But eventually, you do. You take it in bite-sized chunks. So we hope, we memorialize, we take it one step at a time, and finally, it's about how we speak to ourselves, how you talk to yourselves, how you pump yourself up, how you motivate yourself, right? It's that little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. When I face difficult things in life, I actually talk to myself. Like, I'll speak to myself out loud. I got this. I can do this. I am an endurance runner. I like doing the long distances. In September, I'm doing a half marathon here at the base. You're all welcome to join me. It's going to be a Saturday in September. You going to run it?
I'll be there.
Nice. So right now I'm training for that half marathon. In October, I'm scheduled to do the Marine Corps Marathon up in DC. I'm not the fastest person, not by any means, but I do it for completion, right? And while I'm running, I will literally talk to myself. I got this. I can do this, right? Mile 1 down, mile 2 down, and I talk to myself to motivate myself. And how we speak to ourselves can help get us through the hard times. If you speak to yourself in a negative way, you're that fighter who quits before you even get in the octagon. Oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. In your mind, you're quitting, and your body's going to follow. But when your mind stays strong, you say, I got this, I can do this. You're the little engine. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. You drive yourself up and over the mountain. And there are numerous examples of people who faced hard times before finally overcoming. People who had to go through tough spots before life got good. There's a story about Thomas Edison. You guys familiar with the name Thomas Edison? Man credited with bringing the light bulb to the world. Right? Apparently when he was a kid, he was told, you're too stupid to learn anything. Became a very famous inventor. Dr. Seuss, the children's author, right? Hop on Pop, Cat in the Hat, was rejected by dozens of publishers for his first book because they thought it was no good before he finally got published. There's a story that says that Elvis was fired after his first performance. He was told to go back to driving a truck before he finally had the perseverance and caught on. Can you imagine a world without Dr. Seuss or Elvis Presley? You see, no obstacle is worth breaking over. You don't have to be the egg that shatters. We can choose to be that Super Bowl and bounce back. And with God on our side, we can overcome any obstacle. There is nothing that is going to stop us when God is driving us forward. And what it comes down to is this. Everything you're going through will turn into everything you made it through. I love that line. I love it so much I'm going to say it again. Everything you're going through will turn into everything you made it through. It's hard to see when you're in the moment. When you're living through the troubles, that's all we see. And with the perspective of time, we get to the place where we look back and we say, oh, I can't believe what God brought me through. Man, that was a rough year. But now that I'm on the other side, I can see that God was working in my life to make me who I am now. And one day, all the stuff that you went through is going to be in the past. You're going to see it in the rearview mirror. Everything you're going through now, one day will turn into everything you made it through. Do not shatter. Do not crumble. Be the resilient Super Bowl. No matter how hard it's slammed down, will always bounce back. And that is my hope and my prayer for you guys. Be someone who can bounce.